So EG Solutions, we're actually an established UK tech PLC, established in Staffordshire in the UK, trading globally, with a product that we invented and created a market space, a new market space, which is always a rocky road, and particularly if you're listed on the market, but invent it we did. And we pioneered that market space. We're known now globally as the pioneers of that technology. We deploy our software with an implementation methodology that delivers guaranteed benefits for our customers. And we have sold our product and installed it, and it's tried, tested and proven with over 50 global brands, names that you will probably recognise when I get to the client list. Within those global brands, we've got about 106,000 users of the software who use it on a daily basis. So when I say it's tried, tested and proven, those people are using it every minute of every day to manage their work, their people and their processes. So it's well tried and tested. Latterly, we've introduced cloud, so a SaaS model, whereas traditionally we were selling perpetual licenses. So the cloud model was introduced in 2012, and we've seen a nice build of recurring revenues since that point. And then early 2014, a new board came into EG to take our business forward. And their focus is on investing in sales and marketing and other distribution channels so that we can become the undisputed global leader in this type of technology throughout the world. So I started to mention the implementation methodology. Unusually, for a software business, we have two products within our portfolio, a software product, but we don't just sell the licenses and then run to the hills as soon as we've got the check. We actually stay with our customers and implement that software to deliver those guaranteed benefits. The implementation methodology is based on implementing production management theories from industry into the service sector, and our customers are global, international and UK-based service sector companies who are selling to people like you and I, who transacting with these organisations on a quite frequent basis. The combination of the software and the implementation services enables us to guarantee the benefits that we will deliver to customers. We can deploy that software and implement it in approximately 20 to 25 weeks. Halfway through, we start delivering benefits so the customer sees what they've actually paid for working. And as a rule, we generally get return on investment within at least 7 months. So the client is then sort of cash positive for the remainder of that first implementation year, which is very unusual for a software vendor. And those 20 to 25 week installations are offered on a fixed cost, fixed timescale basis. The point being, Mr. Customer, you buy our software, it does what it says on the tin, we'll install it for you, we'll demonstrate the benefits, and you will remain a happy customer for life. That's what we want them to do. And in fact, we have customers with over 20 years usage of our software. So once it's in, it's very sticky. So what is back office workforce optimisation? Well, first of all, I'll just mention the workforce optimisation industry generally. This grew through contact centre development, starting around sort of 1985. We all know call centres. We've all experienced frustrations with them. Behind those call centres are some pieces of software that do a couple of things. They capture all of the calls into what's called an automatic call distributor, piece of technology that captures all the work, and then it's distributed out to agents who are available to take those calls. And it's on a get next basis. They put the phone down, they pick up the next one, and the system automatically feeds them work. There was no such thing in the back office world. The back office world is much different to a call centre. A call centre has a single source of work, generally calls coming in, on a single channel, usually lots of telephone lines. You do the call, over and done with, go on to the next one. Complex processing has been shoved into these teams called back office, and the complex processing work is the work that originally a lot of these organisations thought that they could get rid of by automation or avoid by outsourcing it to territories on the other side of the world, but have now realised actually that this processing is very key to the customer experience. And these processes are very emotive usually for people like you and I. We may be applying for a mortgage, we may be making a claim on our insurance because our house is flooded, we may be retiring and wanting to do a drawdown on our pension, we may unfortunately be making a death claim. So usually a lot of emotion behind these processes, and you can imagine, and probably we've all felt, the additional stress of having to deal with a call centre in far-flung territories with people that don't actually understand how we're feeling, let alone, or they certainly don't sound like they understand how we're feeling, let alone are able to answer our queries straight away. So because of the realisation that the consumer is demanding better service, a lot of these processes are coming back onshore. And they're different, as I started to mention, because unlike call centre where all the work is coming in through a single channel, they're coming in many, many ways. They're coming in through paper, through existing systems within the organisation. They're coming in by email, they're coming in by SMS, and they take place over many days and weeks and many stages. And work can come into those processes as that happens along the way as well. So the ability to be able to capture all of that complexity and present this single view of all the work was a challenge that we recognised way back when we formed the company originally, and we developed the software to address that key problem. Once you've captured all of that work, you can then allocate it out to the individual agents who are available and ensure that we're getting a fair day's work for a fair day's pay by actually making sure everyone is doing the right amount of work during that day, depending on their skills and their availability. So workforce optimisation is actually, in summary, around understanding how many resources we need to do the work that we have to do, and then when we get that work, making sure the capacity is there to be able to handle it and process it and deliver good service. There are many other challenges within these back offices. The end-to-end process, as I've mentioned, can take place over many days or weeks. But it may surprise you to know that the work content of some of these processes is actually quite small, relatively speaking. So as an example, may shock you all to know that a mortgage takes about 7 hours to process from start to finish. But we all know how many days and weeks we spend on the phone chasing people to get something done on it. Why is that? Because the end-to-end process is not managed. We've come across another customer who was taking 32 days to do a simple change of name and address, simply because the documents and the request was actually being passed from pillar to post, rather than someone just picking it up and actually getting it done. And because of the way these back offices have been created, as I mentioned, shoving work together and then getting rid of it over there to create a back office that we don't really want to think about, there's a lot of complexity and silos within how that work is organised, as well as lots of legacy systems and so on. So a number of problems and challenges that we help to address through this software package that we invented. And I mentioned who we do business with, 50 global brands. It is the customer services or the customer operations divisions within these organisations. So the people where you will need these complex processes handled and you want them handled efficiently. And for us, all the end customer is looking for is rapid service, accurate service. The organisation's looking for, how do I get that done as cheaply as possible, because quality is always spelt with COST, and also how do I comply with all of this plethora of regulation that's coming in to make sure that we do our business correctly. So these are the challenges that we're actually addressing. And some big names on there like Citigroup, who have 11,000 users spread throughout the world. People like Clerical Medical, a very old brand, our longest customer. And as I mentioned, very sticky technology. Once it's in, most organisations don't want to take it out unless they are acquired by someone else, and we have to go through a resale cycle. So what are the drivers? And the drivers really are universal. It doesn't particularly matter what territory we are selling to, apart from language, of course, but we can handle that now. But the main driver, as I've mentioned, is the consumer revolution. And interestingly, we tend to be able to ebb and flow regardless of the cycles. So in a downturn economy where people are very focused on needing to save cost, an ROI in 12 months whilst maintaining customer service or improving it is a very welcome proposition for the customers that we're selling to. Equally, we can be selling to low-cost economies, people where a lot of this offshoring is done, who are offering benefits to the organisations I showed you previously based on purely labour arbitrage. A person in the UK costs an average of 25k, a person over here, we can do it for an average of 5k. Obviously, there's a cost saving there. But in those economies, they're experiencing significant RPI growth and worried about maintaining their competitive edge. So for them, they still want to be able to manage cost, but particularly they want to be able to manage service and evidence the service that they're providing back to the host organisation. And then other markets like high growth markets, where the story is the opposite actually. It's how do we cope with the growth that's coming in with the same or less resources. So regardless of what the strategy is that the organisation is trying to follow, we can adapt how we sell our software, and it's exactly the same package for everyone, to address those needs and deliver business benefit. And that means it's quite a useful sales tool wherever we go throughout the world. So the rest of our marketplace, who is the competition? Well, I mentioned we invented this product and we invented a market space. So one of the downsides of doing that when you're a small UK tech business is being able to get recognition globally for what you've actually done. It may sound perverse, but it's actually very helpful to have competition because they're helping to create that market space. So a number of the call centre workforce optimisation vendors have come into the market selling their call centre products for use in the back office. So our main competition is from NICE, Verint and Genesis. They're big American companies, over $500 million turnover, up to nearly $1 billion in one case. But at this moment in time, less than 20% of the bids are competitive. As I say, it is helpful to have that competition, but not always when you get to an individual bid. We don't particularly like that. Needless to say, our product is recognised as the most complete purpose-built product for this particular customer requirement. And industry analysts, people like Gartner, are actually developing and setting industry standards based on our technology and actually saying to the market, this is the benchmark. Everyone else needs to come to that. So very useful when we get into competitive situations. 90% of the time in competition, we win. And we win based on our domain expertise and the completeness of the product that I've talked about. So we really understand what is needed to be able to deliver results with this product. So, but how do we, what are the barriers to entry? How do we maintain this competitive edge? Well, obviously, continuing to invest in the product is very important. So approximately 15% of our revenues are invested in continuous enhancement of the product, as well as new versions, which I'll come on to in a second. But also, we are integrated and embedded within our clients' IT estate. And with the launch of hosting, we're on minimum 3-year contract terms with all of our clients. And that had a significant impact on our business, moving from one-time licenses, perpetual licenses, which are a little bit like going and getting a suntan. If you go and get go on a sunbed, you get a nice warm glow for about two days, and then it falls away. When we were selling perpetual licenses, we would start our financial year on the 1st of February every year with 0 in the pot. And now we start our financial year with a good chunk of recurring revenues, as I'll show you in a second, already secured that are underpinning medium-term forecasts. So in terms of innovation, I've mentioned hosting and the cloud offering. The other product that we are now developing is our mobile solution. So putting everything that we do onto mobile devices so that operations managers on the move can manage these complex processes wherever they are, from meetings, from bed, wherever they choose to be. but also so that we can extend the footprint and the use of our solution to mobile workers who are part of that end-to-end process. So people like valuers, claims inspectors, debt collectors, relationship managers, those people that are out on the road that are sort of unmeasured and uncontrollable can now be included as part of the process. And with geolocation services, we can allocate work to those people on the fly in real time, so that if an inquiry comes in for a customer that's close to where someone else already is, rather than have someone come back to the office to work it out and then go, we can actually say, while you're there, can you go do this one as well? So we can significantly enhance and improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of field workers using the mobile solution. So I mentioned the launch of hosting and the development of the recurring revenue, and starting with zero on the 1st of February always used to feel like standing on the top of a cliff. But with the launch of hosting, we've started to significantly ramp up the amount of recurring revenue that we have. Currently, as it stands today, and yesterday was the 1st of February, I'm looking at an order book of 17.1 million that will be recognised over the next 3 to 4 years, and that is predominantly SaaS revenue. And you can see how that has grown. In the last 3 to 4 years, it's actually grown at a compound annual growth rate of 45%, and that is a real focus for our business to keep growing that recurring revenue. And it's interesting actually, because if you look at our market cap as we speak today, it's about 7.5 million, and yet our contracted orders are 17.1 million plus our cash. Our business really is worth at least 3 times what is being recognised from a share valuation point of view. So pre-launch of hosting, we were looking at sort of an average of 5 million revenue per year, pretty much year in, year out, with 15% adjusted EBITDA. We did a lot of good things in that period, but obviously to grow and take a market global, we need to be increasing that revenue and less focus on product and market development. So in 2014, early 2014, our new management team and board pulled together to take this business forward. So the first significant event was the appointment of Duncan McIntyre, who is ex-Monetize and Morse. Some of you may know him. Ex-mobile banking, particularly with Monetize. He joined us as chairman, and he's been building the board and the growth strategy to take us forward. And the idea is, to get our revenue significantly increased up to 20 million as quickly as possible. And you can see from this slide here what's actually been achieved just in the last 2 years alone. So we've gone from that sort of average 4.5, big increase in 2014, further increase 2015, and then the market forecast is to continue that growth moving forward. And a lot of that is on the back of investing. And we did a placing in January 2015, last year, which was well supported by our existing investors and new ones who bought into the growth strategy and the board and plans that Duncan has created. Still with that focus on building those recurring revenues, because that's what keeps us all sane and stops us feeling jittery on the 1st of February. And then continuing to expand into new markets and territories, with Asia Pac and North America being key focus. And obviously continuing to develop product so that we stay ahead of the competition. So I mentioned the board that Duncan built. Duncan, I mentioned already, joined from ex-Monetize. Mark Brady joined us as chair of Remuneration Committee. Mark is, I call him our resident nomad actually, but he's told me not to say those words in print. But having a nomad on your board is actually extremely helpful, because you've got all of that corporate finance expertise in-house, and he's proved to be a really good guy and led the review of executive remuneration. And then John Broham, who's previously worked with Duncan in a couple of businesses, appointed chair of Audit Committee. And then a gentleman called Bob Krakow, who is from Aspect Software. And Aspect Software is a reseller partner for our software throughout the world, which helps us with not doing all of the distribution ourselves. They also have just under 10% stake in our equity as well. But Bob is the Chief Financial Officer for Aspect and has a sort of global industry knowledge about the workforce optimisation market generally, so it's been extremely useful. And then John Brown brought in John Kay as our Chief Financial Officer last January also, so you can see new team all come together. And I've mentioned on here our investors because we've been very well supported since the beginning and throughout the journey of establishing the product in the market, and now further support taking it forward. We've been supported by some great investors, people at Living Bridge, Hargreave Hale, Herald came in with Duncan, Unicorn and Aspect, who I've mentioned, with board and management still holding about 40% of the equity. So in summary, where will EG be going? We will continue to win, and we continue to win, exciting logos that add to our customer base. And when we win a logo, we keep that logo for a long time. We keep that customer for a long time through having a great product that works, integrating it and embedding it into their technology platform and delivering great service. We'll be expanding into new territories, particularly the USA, South Africa and Asia Pac, as I've mentioned, but with real focus on growing that order book. And eventually we're hoping that the market will catch up and understand the value, the difference in the value between valuing us on the old basis of perpetual licenses and valuing us for the total value that our business has, which is the order book and the cash. We raised 3 million at the placing in 2015. We still have that 3 million. So despite investing in this last financial year in growing the sales team and some more product development, we still have the cash that we raised. And some of that investment went into developing our mobile product, which helps to extend our footprint, as I've mentioned, into our existing client base, but also get us into some new ones as well. And it's quite interesting actually to see the international response to mobile for exactly the same product that was available on desktop is significantly greater than when we were just offering the desktop products. So some markets are very mobile savvy. You say you've got a product on mobile, they're interested. You say you've got a product on desktop and they're less interested. So we're just blending that marketing message across the world as well. And generally, we're a very well-run company. We win awards all the time for different things. They're not marketing exercises. A lot of them are about the quality of our business. So things like ISO 27001 is about the information security requirements that we need to satisfy our customers, that if we're hosting all of their customers' information, we are secure. So we've received that award. We have got a 2-star Outstanding Employer Award through the Best Companies survey that gets printed in the Sunday Times every, I think it's April. And we're a Microsoft Gold partner as well, so our technologies approved by Microsoft have been very well developed. And I think probably the measure of how well our software is developed is that our support team, despite the 100,000 users throughout the world, has never been more than 3 people. And that to me is a measure of success. If you keep that quality in the development that you do and have a product that does what it says on the tin, then your cost as a company is actually kept down. So that's EG. Thank you.